So it's beautiful downtown Owen Sound, and there's Brigitte's, which is closed, and next to it, the Artist Co-op, and here is the Palette Cafe, which used to have the sign above that said bingo, 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 but that's been taken down. I think they should have left it up. Bingo, bingo, bingo was kind of a landmark and made sure that we all knew exactly where we were. And we don't have that anymore. What happened? Oh dear. Wow. Anyway, at least we know where we are. Yeah. Okay, and we know that I've got a cup of coffee and a blueberry muffin. So that's all good. Yeah, that's all very, very good, and it's a Monday morning, and I'm in beautiful downtown Owen Sound. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah. Oh, yeah. So, enjoying the blueberry muffin here. Oh. I'm going to talk about... hang on. The Permian. Yeah, the Permian. Whoa, yeah. A lot of traffic coming by here, but I would still rather sit out in the rain on a patio having my coffee outdoors. It's a damn thing. So, the Permian. From 300 million years ago to about 250 million years ago. And defined on land by the Permian proto-mammals, which were cute critters, really. You know those sailback dinosaurs that you get in your plastic dinosaur playset? Those weren't dinosaurs. They were proto-mammals. And Dimetrodon and all those guys, they were more closely related to us than they were to any tyrannosaur. The Permian proto-mammals. And the rain is really coming down. I might have to finish up here and get moving. Yeah. Or on second thought, I might just sit here and continue to dictate this video. The tarp is doing a good job keeping out the rain. So far, so good. Hey, yeah. Anyway. The Permian proto-mammals are best represented by, again, the sailback lizards of the Permian era. They're also partially represented by something from the era before them, from the late Carboniferous, the earliest of the proto-mammals, which would give rise to the sailbacks and the Guggenopsids and a whole bunch, a huge variety and diversity of mammal-like reptiles. The Permian proto-mammals. Yeah. I have to say, one thing about having my breakfast out here on the patio in the rain is I've got it pretty much all to myself. The street is pretty dead. That said, yeah. The Permian proto-mammals are fascinating. They are literally my favorite fauna of all time. They are just fascinating. They were incredibly diverse, and hypothetically, they should have kept the dinosaurs down because they were just that much more successful than the dinosaurs at that time. But the Permian ended with a huge catastrophe, a volcanic disaster, the like of which most of us could probably never conceive of. A 10,000 to 20,000 year volcanic eruption which gave us the Siberian traps. This basically mountain range in Siberia of just volcanic rock. Yeah. It might have been 50,000, I'm not sure. It might have even been 100,000. In any case, it was a very prolonged period that involved a great deal of global warming, a complete ecological collapse, and the proto-mammals basically were almost exterminated, which paved the way, of course, for the dinosaurs that appeared in the Triassic. But we'll get to that in the next video. In the meantime, back to the Permian proto-mammals, shall we? Good morning. Yeah. Oh, wow. Oh, that's a Wednesday morning. Oh, kind of noisy. Just waking up here. Yeah. Oh, but I mentioned the Permian proto-mammals. The correct name is the synapsids, and it's also the name given to all true mammals. It's because of the way that their skulls are formed. Our skulls are formed. There's only one major hole. Fenestrae is, I think, what those holes are called. Yeah. I think I got that right. In any case, the determining feature for the mammal-like reptiles or the synapsids is their skull and their teeth. Their teeth are in the mammal pattern. That is to say, you've got your 4 chopping teeth in the front and center. Then you've got your 2 long fangs right behind them off to the side. And you got 10 big grinding teeth behind all of them, crushing things. That's the top jaw, and then the bottom jaw is the same thing. So that gives you a total of 32 teeth, divided into a division of labor. 8, 4, and 20. That's impressive. And yeah, that's how human teeth pattern and how dog teeth pattern, and it's how gorgonopsid teeth pattern. And yes, I'll talk a little more about the gorgonopsids soon. But first, the synapsids appear in the late Carboniferous, and they take off incredibly quickly, moving into every possible environment. By the early Permian, they are well established, and they have most, if not all, the defining characteristics that scream mammal. Yeah. We have found evidence that some of these animals had hair, possibly all of them. And with hair, you have to infer warm-bloodedness. It's the most logical step. They have hair, they're probably warm-blooded. They're endothermic. They produce their own body heat by turning their food into heat, into energy, which is what we humans do. Interesting. So you've got their skull shape, their skull structure, you've got their teeth, and you've got warm-bloodedness. Hair and warm-bloodedness. They're basically mammals, and some of them gave birth to live young. They were viviparous. Yeah, they had live young. They gave birth to living, breathing babies instead of laying eggs. And this is a characteristic that is almost, but not quite, universally defining mammals. We do have some egg-laying mammals still, the platypus and the echidna, but those are found in Australia, where everything is kind of weird. Yeah. So the Permian was the golden age of the proto-mammals, and they kept the proto-dinosaurs down. The proto-dinosaurs had nothing on the proto-mammals. And then a volcano erupted in Siberia. And it wasn't a mountain volcano. It's what you call a shield volcano. It was a continent-wide shield volcano. And over a period of about 100,000 years, it spewed out enough carbon dioxide and sulfur to jack up the Earth's temperature a good 5 degrees, which in turn caused an incredible release of methane, which jacked it up another 5 degrees. So a 10-degree increase in the Earth's temperature and a drastic decline in available oxygen. And the proto-mammals were basically fucked. They were forced to live at the very lowest altitudes, and the proto-dinosaurs were able to take over because the proto-dinosaurs had a more efficient lung. And that is still true today. Modern birds still have a more efficient lung, which allows them to fly over the tops of mountains that us humans need mechanical help to climb. Yeah. But this volcanic eruption did create a climate catastrophe, very similar to the one that we humans appear to be bringing upon ourselves. A climate catastrophe that, at its height, almost destroyed our ancestors. Almost. I have to wonder, would we as a species be able to survive another similar climate catastrophe? And the answer is, possibly. There are a few populations of human that could survive. Populations that live in the mountains of Tibet, the mountains of Ethiopia, and the mountains of South America all have an evolutionary adaptation that allows them to survive in a low oxygen environment. On the other hand, humans that live in England, France, the Appalachian Heights of America, New York, Chicago, Toronto, Montreal, London, Paris, Berlin, Moscow, and Kiev, we would all suffocate, as would the humans of Beijing, Tokyo, Brisbane, Australia, and Bangkok. They'd all be fucked. They'd all be done. Yeah. Yeah, so humanity would survive, but it would be a bit more darker complexioned, and it would be highland adapted, scurrying down the slopes to sea level to live among the ruins. Well, big noisy trucks, you can hear them. To live among the ruins of first world civilization, as I was saying. And it would take a long time for them to bring the Earth back up to anything remotely resembling our current condition, if indeed they chose to, which I doubt they would. They would probably choose to learn from the mistakes of the first world and refrain from building a capitalist consumer society based upon the devouring of the Earth's resources. They would go for something a bit more long-term sustainable. I'm pretty sure of that, because they're not stupid. I mean, they've managed to survive everything the first world can throw at them. That takes intelligence. It's one thing to hyper-industrialize your society until you look like, dare I say it, a manufacturing world from Warhammer 40K. That is to say, a dead, desolate wasteland interspersed with giant hive cities where the workers live in abject misery eating their own waste, and the elite live in luxurious towers eating the workers. Yeah. That is, by the way, what America is rocketing towards at present. Hopefully they will smarten up. It's also what the Chinese are rocketing towards. Hopefully they will smarten up. It's what the Europeans were rocketing towards before they realized that they were cutting their own throats. And now they're reaching for sustainability, as are the Japanese. And the Chinese are starting to realize that maybe they need to make some changes as well. Maybe all of us need to make some changes. Consume less. And let's get rid of private automobiles instead. Let's bring back public transit, which we did have 100 years ago in abundance. Public transit was a good thing. We can bring it back. All we have to do is make that choice. Bring back public transit. We can be less polluting, less consuming. All we have to do is apply logic, reason, and sanity, and we will be able to stop an ecological catastrophe such as the one that befell the Earth at the end of the Permian. Something to think about. Because otherwise the heirs of humanity are going to be Tibetans, Ethiopians, and Inca. Yeah. And they will take over not by conquest, but by wandering into the ruins left behind by the so-called First World, after the First World exterminated itself in an outburst of destructive stupidity, greed, and crass consumerism. Something to think about.